one of the most reputable private higher education institutions in northern Mindanao. LaSalle University is committed to its academic excellence as a PAASQ Level 2 accredited institution. Tracing back the rich and colorful history of LaSalle University, the De La Salle brothers in 1990 agreed to assist in the academic supervision of then Immaculate Conception College. 4 years later, it was formally turned over to the De La Salle brothers and named it Immaculate Conception College LaSalle. In 2006, ICC LaSalle was granted the university status by the Commission on Higher Education and changed its name to LaSalle University. In the same year, the university was granted to admit foreign students by the Bureau of Immigration. Since then, LaSalle University has opened its doors to the world with college programs that are globally competent. The College of Teacher Education. The College of Arts and Sciences. The College of Business and Accountancy. The College of Computer Studies. The College of Engineering and Architecture. The College of Nursing. The School of Tourism and Hospitality Management. The School of Graduate Studies. LaSalle University is fully equipped with top-of-the-line facilities and amenities to match the demands of the advancing technology. Our Lady of the Star Chapel is a venue for students to strengthen their faith in God. The multifunctional audiovisual room, advanced library system, the 3,000 capacity art center, well-suited indoor and outdoor sports facilities, reliable bus system, well-furnished university clinic, safe and cozy dormitory with free Wi-Fi and no power interruption. Today, LaSalle University is and will continue to lead in reshaping the futures of the young and the continuing professionals. LaSalle University, reshaping futures.
LSU. Reshaping futures.
Words are our most inexhaustible source of magic, said a British author who just happens to write 8 wizardly best-selling books in history. As words spoken from here on are casted to lead us to celebrate something magical today, let me officially greet you all a very, very good day. This year's graduation ball theme is LaSallians in the Wizarding World. So may we all be captured with the spells alongside the sincerity of the purpose of today's event. De La Salle Brothers, administrators, LaSallian associates, parents, benefactors, and Batch Alohomora, the graduating students of the academic year 2020-2021, virtual greetings to all of you and welcome to the Tribute to Parents. Today, we celebrate the people who allure, appeal, and power the success of the future generation. People who do the extraordinary, which eventually becomes one of the many reasons why our soon-to-be graduates are ready to take their steps into the bigger world. And at this point, we offer our success to God as we commence this celebration with an invocation.
Mark tells us a story of a father who wanted his son be delivered from an unclean spirit. The disciples could not do it, and so they were very embarrassed until Jesus came. And Jesus did get rid of that evil spirit. But later on, the disciples wanted to ask Jesus why they could not do it. And Jesus tells them privately that this can be done only by prayer. It's the same for us today in our time. Even if we do many things like washing our hands, staying home, social distancing, etc., prayer is still very necessary for all of us. We need to put our trust and help in God so that whatever difficulties, things like pandemic, COVID virus, etc., could be eliminated from our lives and the lives of all people today.
Dumdumon naton nga ara kita sa balaan na presensya sang Ginoo.
Ganakanta mo, na atsyuta mo, king kabanal-banalang presensya ng Diyos.
Let us remember that we are in the holy presence of God.
Together we will pray as one. Green banners lift up high till it's raising up the sun. No matter where you are in the world, Messiah's prayer will forever be loud and heard. for the love of you, for the love of you, for the love of you. Together we pray as one. Green banners lift up high till it's rising of the sun. No matter where you are in the world, that's all you pray and will forever love you. Together we will pray as one. Green banners lift up high till it's rising of the sun. No matter where you are in the world, the science where you will forever be loudly heard. Leave Jesus in our hearts forever.
Mayang magiliw, pero sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lumang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiging, sa manlulupig, di ka masisi. Sa natatang mundong sa simuyan, sa langit mamahal, may nilagang tulad, awit sa panlayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig. Ang bituin ng araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng buwan, ating pagsinta mo ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng may mga ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
To officially acquaint us to today's event and explicate its essence, Kenneth Harold Inducal, Batch President, will present his welcome address.
My respect to the University President, Brother Jose Marie Jimenez FSC, school administrators, faculties, and staff. On behalf of the graduating class of academic year 2020 to 2021, I feel honored to welcome you all to our virtual tribute to parents. It is with greatest privilege that I get to talk before you today and a pride to pay tribute to our beloved parents and guardians. Today marks a successful journey, not just our journey alone, but a successful ride with our dear parents. Looking back, we have those days when we feel like giving up. At some point, we start to question ourselves if we could still make it, staying late at night to finish off our tasks and cram over a bundle of requirements. Regardless of those struggles, we chose to fight and to continue. We chose to fight because we know deep down that our loved ones, especially our parents, fought a larger battle. They were the ones who exerted a huge amount of effort to pay our tuition fees, to suffice our necessities. Our dear parents are our ultimate source of happiness, love, and inspiration. We have reached this point of our lives because they kept us going. Such collective sacrifices from both us and our parents have brought us here today. Having said that, let us take this very moment to say thank you to our parents or guardians. Thank you, Ma and Pa, for your unwavering support and guidance. Before I end this speech, I would like to grab this opportunity to express my utmost gratitude to LaSalle University for providing us lifelong learning experiences, which we could use in this practical world. To our beloved mentors who have imparted us not just knowledge, but skills and values that developed us holistically. These distinguished and seasoned faculties at LaSalle Universities, with their heartfelt dedication to their students, indeed is a hallmark of LaSalle's tradition of excellence. Truly, LaSalle has taught our minds, touched our hearts, and transformed our lives in any ways. Once again, good day everyone. Keep safe. Animo LaSalle.
Success comes in many forms which we can attest to. given the many opportunities we experienced or the struggles we overcame. May it be little or big, there is nothing sweeter than achieving good things through hard work. At this point, we would like to give value to students whose success was the fruits of tireless shifts between books and service, classes and duties. Engineer Flor de Liza Cabang, Vice President for Administration, will speak for the recognition of work scholars.
My warmest congratulations and full appreciation to the work scholars of this graduating batch 2021. You indeed made it and able to balance your time in academics and work. Your graduation means an open door to another opportunity in life. At this stage of your life, you must take charge of your future, where you choose to focus your time and energy that will directly impact what comes to you later in life. I believe you are already prepared for that and continue to be the epitome of success. Show the world that even this difficult time, you can still be someone and a blessing to others. Be always grateful to those people who helped you and part of your success. Congratulations and soar high. The awardees are
I've never been the one to raise my hand. That was not me. And now that's who I am. Because of you, I am standing tall.
Let us hear Floricel Makiling, Outstanding Work Scholar, for a message of thanks on behalf of the work scholars.
A pleasant day to everyone. Being able to study in one of the most prestigious schools for almost free is such a wonderful blessing that an ordinary student with extraordinary dreams could ever have. On behalf of the graduating work scholars, we would like to extend our utmost and heartfelt gratitude to LaSalle University for opening doors to us, especially to less fortunate, or shall we say financially challenged, students like me, to have the chance to fulfill our dreams and aspirations in life by earning a degree. Truly, LaSalle University is a school for the poor. To my fellow work scholars, I know that you all have been through a lot in your journey as a working student. Thank you so much for your service and thank you for not giving up. I know it was never an easy ride, but finally, our hard work has paid us off. Congratulations to all of us, and may God bless us all in our future endeavors. Once again, thank you for having me as part of the LSU Work Scholar Association. May God be with us always, keep safe, and Animo LaSalle.
We will now have the awarding ceremony. The ceremony entails donning of students for their special awards.
It is my honor to recognize our students who have rendered their unmeasurable service and a selfless dedication to the programs and activities of the university. To the awardees, thank you so much and congratulations. To start, we have Excellence in Leadership. It is an award given to graduating students who have ably balanced their academic studies with student activities. This award gives recognition to those who have rendered exemplary service to the college and student body through active in student organizations. The awardee will receive a gold medal, will also receive certificates recognizing their participation in co-curricular activities and for rendering community service. And the awardees are Obenza Jonali M. and Pakatang Iris May M. Excellence in Co-curricular Activities. It is an award given to graduating students for active participation and leadership in the co-curricular activities of the college. The awardee will receive a silver medal,
and will also receive certificate recognizing their participation in the community service. And the awardees are Babano John Vincent P., Dalay Alcel R., Decafe Genreca V., Indocal Kent Harold R., Loyahan Kate Cassandra G., Makiling Floresel B., and Tanya Hora Raymart C. Excellence in Community Service. It is an award given to graduating students for their active participation and leadership in the community service activities of the college. And the awardee will receive a bronze medal and a certificate. And the awardees are Baluyos Vincent E., Cadorna John Ray D., De Los Reyes Delma C. Jr., El Medulan Cela Loren S., Inglesa Reva Hannah J., Manungas Dave Julian P., Pamugas Lorena E., Pegalan Shera Colleen J., Simpas Jesrel A. Jr., Suazo Mike Daniel, and Villones Rylan Rose L. Outstanding Program Coordinator. It is an award given to graduating students who possess the following qualifications: must be a chairperson of 3 programs or activities, has a very satisfactory evaluation of the program coordinated, has been a program coordinator for at least 2 school years, must not possess at least 2 failing grades and 3 INCs, must be a resident of at least 2 school years, and a recipient of co-curricular award for at least 1 year, must possess good moral character, and must not have committed any major offense as defined in the student handbook. And the awardees will receive a gold medal and a certificate. And the awardees are Decafe Genreca Ann V., Obenza Jonalie M., and Pakatang Irish May M. Excellence in Speech Communication. It is an award given to graduating students who possess the following qualifications: must be involved in several activities such as emceeing, speech contests, and etc. Must be an effective public speaker who can hold the audience interest and participation. Has very satisfactory evaluation of the programs involved. Must not possess at least 2 failing grades and 3 INCs. Must be a resident of at least 2 school years and a recipient of co-curricular award for at least 1 year. Must possess good moral character and must not have committed any major offense as defined in the student handbook. And the awardee will receive a gold medal and a certificate. And the awardee is Ms. Pakatang Iris May M. Congratulations!
Brother Jose Marie Jimenez FSC, the university president, will now dedicate his message.
Fellow Lasallians, parents, good day. It has been almost 1 year now since the pandemic began. It is almost a miracle that we find ourselves here today celebrating Graduation Day. We gather together today because we wish to affirm that we do not want to live in fear. Our coming together affirms our desire, our commitment to live creatively and fruitfully. We are still learning how to live with the virus that to date has affected 100 million persons worldwide and taken the lives of 2.4 million people. The virus will not magically disappear, and it will continue to pose threats to our well-being and the well-being of those we love. It will, however, take human ingenuity, creativity, and our collective will to heal together, to redesign and re-engineer our ways of living and working. Depending on how you choose to look at it, these are the worst of times, but it can also be the best of times. The post-pandemic world may not be the world you expected when you began your learning journey with LaSalle University. You and I can make a choice to make this situation work and to make it better. I was reading the New York Times 2 weeks ago and came across an article of a Facebook group in Hong Kong. using social media to help people they've never met in their lives. Members of the FB group fed the cats who were separated from their owners, brought cheer to persons quarantined by sending them cards and gifts, kept an eye on people who were stranded at airports. Closer to home, the Lasallian Network in the Philippines housed the homeless living near DLSU Manila, sheltered and fed them and helped them through this time of crisis. What this and other efforts demonstrate is that we have a capacity to will something good, to think of others who are in need when it would have been more convenient to just think about ourselves. Today, dear parents, we send out our young graduates with the hope that they will help our communities become more resilient. The story of St. LaSalle reminds us that at the heart of every successful innovation is a concern for those who are in need, for the poor and the marginalized of society. Empathy for the needs of others is a competency our young graduates will need to continue to exercise. Anyone who understands the needs of others will always find a job and be relevant. Apart from empathy, lifelong learning will be another competency that will prove most important in the post-pandemic world. Our ways of living and working are continually being revised by the pandemic. That process of revision will give rise to new job opportunities and see the decline of others. We need to keep adapting ourselves and keep learning the new skills that emerge out of our changing situation. Dear parents, in behalf of the educators of LaSalle University and in behalf of the De La Salle brothers, I thank you for entrusting the learning journey of your children to us. Thank you for making us your partners in the education of your sons and daughters. It is because of your trust and support for our educational mission that we are here today to celebrate this milestone. Be assured that your university will continue to evolve its services and make them better. In your future learning endeavors, you can continue looking to us as your trusted partners. Animo LaSalle and live Jesus in our hearts.
To the graduating students of academic year 2020-2021, truly your achievements replicate those of your parents and benefactors. Their support to you in whichever aspect developed you to become who you are and who you will become. Thus, it is with all rights that we give gratitude to the people and individuals who gave this institution a chance to invest their students' future towards a greater one. Let us watch a video presentation to give tribute or special recognition to our parents and benefactors. Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Hamora Arevalo, Mr. Erwin N. Bantilan, Mr. and Mrs. Solomon Calupez, Mr. and Mrs. Mario P. Lagarde, Mr. and Mrs. Rico C. Adorna, Mrs. Susana B. Arong, Mr. and Mrs. Reggie Maata, Miss Ligaya Oculares, Mr. Gilbert C. Pelongo, Mr. and Mrs. Florito Sakin, Mr. and Mrs. Noel B. Dalagon, Miss Hurley C. Alde, Mr. and Mrs. Ambolodto, Mr. and Mrs. Ramil H. Asas, Mr. and Mrs. Amir E. Camotes, Mr. and Mrs. George Digamon, Mrs. Anna Mer P. Ermita, Mrs. Maria Cheryl G. Elisan, Mr. and Mrs. Francis S. Manalo, Mr. and Mrs. Anthony Joe C. Manungas, Miss Priscilda J. Patalingho, Miss Nida Nazaria D. Paye, Mr. and Mrs. Armando D. Soliano, Mr. and Mrs. Giovanni N. Yaba, Mr. Esmeraldo G. Barredo, Mr. and Mrs. Walter Magsayo, Mr. and Mrs. Danielle T. Adorable, Mr. and Mrs. Isidro J. Balasta Jr., Mr. Robelo S. Bombisa, Miss Vilma M. Borbura, Mr. and Mrs. Delmar M. De Los Reyes Sr., Mr. and Mrs. Joseph D. Lim Kimbo, Mr. and Mrs. Rolando Lospo, Mr. and Mrs. Federico V. Padilla Jr., Mr. Alfe A. Pansakala, Mr. and Mrs. Francisco H. Petaluna Jr., Mr. and Mrs. Epifanio S. Polito, Mr. Anthony R. Rodriguez, Ms. Sheila Grace S. Baraya, Mr. and Mrs. Ernesto R. Babano, Mr. and Mrs. Rico C. Ubot, Mr. Romel T. Remotigue, Mr. and Mrs. Catribo Gabas, Mr. and Mrs. Gerardo C. Apaitan, Mr. and Mrs. Isagani Inguito Sr., Mr. and Mrs. Gilbert T. Francis, Mr. and Mrs. Jesus T. De Cafe Sr., Mr. and Mrs. Bobby Durias, Mr. and Mrs. Ray Teotimo P. Inglisa, Mr. Samuel M. Manapsat, Mr. and Mrs. Antonino P. Pabatang, Mr. and Mrs. Josel Y. Paslon, Mr. and Mrs. Felix A. Pelongo, Mr. and Mrs. Domingo Acantelado, Mr. and Mrs. Orlando Bacabis, Mr. and Mrs. Bobby M. Docoy Sr., Mr. and Mrs. Marvin Yap Martinez Sr., Mr. and Mrs. Vidal T. Tagailo, Mr. and Mrs. Paul E. Baluyos, Mr. and Mrs. Manuel L. Adtuon, Mr. and Mrs. Roberto P. Acacio, Mr. and Mrs. Jesus L. Cortez Jr., Mrs. Virgie B. Malikay, Mr. and Mrs. Aquilino C. Cadorna Jr., Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson C. Cañada, Mr. and Mrs. Pablo Dormile, Mr. and Mrs. Jezreel Sempas Sr., Mr. and Mrs. Robbie Sugano, Mr. and Mrs. Alberto O. Cabal, Mr. and Mrs. Giovanni Malagar, Mr. and Mrs. Sergio B. Obenza III, Mr. and Mrs. Julian A. Pacatang Jr., Mr. and Mrs. Juanito E. Pueblas, Mr. and Mrs. Edgar L. Tadiamon, Mrs. Beverly B. Alberca, Mr. and Mrs. Renante S. Egot, Mr. and Mrs. Ronnie S. Yatur, Mr. and Mrs. Alejandro S. Dalay, Mr. and Mrs. Renato P. Astudillo, Mr. and Mrs. Elrie T. Enducal, Mr. and Mrs. J. V. Makiling, Mr. and Mrs. Rosendo B. Tanyahura, Mr. and Mrs. Felix A. Clamuhoy, Mr. Maximo E. Grado, Mr. and Mrs. Arman L. Madeja, Mrs. Marizel P. Molo, Mr. and Mrs. Japte L. Tinamisan, Mr. Divinogracio Apales Modiquilio, Mr. and Mrs. Roque B. Pamugas, Mr. and Mrs. Randy F. Onido, Mr. and Mrs. Raul Atacador, Mr. and Mrs. Norberto Cabarce, Mr. and Mrs. Imbernable S. Lim Jr., Mr. and Mrs. Roel Manungas, Mr. and Mrs. Rolando H. Pigalan, Mr. and Mrs. Pedro S. Remedios, Miss Marifed J. Cahan, Miss Lori Friend M. El Medula, Miss Dashi Shane C. Garillo, Miss Leonila A. Montesilio, Mr. and Mrs. Nolly O. Paredes, Miss Felisa M. Salaguste, Mr. and Mrs. Onisimo C. Velasco, Mr. Ricardo L. Villones.
I've never been the one to raise my hand. That was not me. And now that's who I am. Because of you, I am standing tall. My heart is full of endless gratitude. You were the one to guide me through. Now I can see, and I believe it's only just beginning. This is what we dream about, but the only question with me now is, do I make you proud? Stronger than I've ever been now. Never be afraid of standing out. But do I make you proud? I guess I've learned to question is to grow. That you still have faith is all I need to know. I've learned to love myself despite of me, and I've learned to walk the road that I believe. But the only question with me now is, do I make you proud? Stronger than I've ever been now. Never be afraid of standing out. But do I make you proud? Everybody needs to rise up. Everybody needs to be loved. To be loved. This is what we dream about. But the only question with me now is, do I make you? Do I make you proud? But the only question is, do I make you proud? Stronger than I've ever been. Never be afraid of. This is what we dream about. For the only question is, do I? Stronger than I've ever been. Do I make you proud? Do I? This is what we dream about. But the only question with me now is, do I make you? Do I make you proud?
Here's to you, you were pink or blue, and everything I wanted Here's to you, never sleeping through from midnight till the morning. Had to crawl before you walked, before you ran, before I knew it. You were trying to free your fingers from my hand, 'cause you could do it on your own now. Somehow, slow down, won't you stay here a minute more? I know you wanna walk through the door, but it's all too fast. Let's make it last a little while. I pointed to the sky, and now you wanna fly. I am your biggest fan, I hope you know I am. But do you think you can somehow slow down? Here's to you, every missing tooth, every bedtime story. Here's to Barbie cars, lightsaber wars, sleeping in on Sunday. Had to crawl before you walked, before you ran, before I knew it. You were teaching me the only thing love can. Hold hands through it when it's scary. You've got me. Let's slow down. Won't you stay here a minute more? I know you wanna walk through the door, but it's all too fast. Let's make it last a little while. I pointed to the sky, and now you wanna fly. I am your biggest fan, I hope you know I am. But do you think you can somehow slow down? Please don't roll your eyes at me. I know I'm embarrassing, but someday you'll understand. You'll hold a little hand, ask them if they can. Oh, oh, 'cause it's all too fast. Oh, oh, I am your biggest fan, I hope you know I am. But do you think you can somehow slow down? Slow down.
The Lasallian Mission Unit spearheads the full realization of this event. Amidst the pandemic, they have best prepared an avenue to acknowledge all of their stakeholders' contributions in making LaSalle University's commitment to develop our core values: faith, service, and communion. With that, Brother Butch Antolin Alcudia III, FSC, Vice President for Lasallian Mission, will give his message of thanks.
Maayong lasal kanatong tanan. Fear of a name only increases fear of the thing itself. The amazing words of J.K. Rowling, the famous author of the best-selling book, Harry Potter, turned into a blockbuster film series. I start my part in this program today with the word fear. Since January 2020, the world was crippled by COVID-19. I won't dwell anymore on how we all became since then, because I wish to focus more on the brighter side of life. I hope to encourage everyone to transform our fear to faith, so that instead of increasing our fear, we increase our faith. When we increase our faith, together we can do great things. Last year, Lasallians worldwide committed to being part of a miracle, a movement that continues to march till this day, encouraging Lasallians to be the miracle. A miracle doesn't have to be extraordinary like raising the dead to life. It takes a creative mind anchored on a courageous heart, limitless imagination, and inspiring energy. Let me honor our administrators, faculty, and staff for their undying commitment, while at the same time ensuring their own safety and well-being, and even their own families. Thank you so much. If not for your creativity and sustained commitment, I cannot imagine how we are able to unlock the possibilities for our students. Let me also honor our parents today. Daghang salamat kaayos sa kanunay nga pagsalig sa pagtimbayayong uban sa tibuok nga katalingbanong Lasalliano. Hinaot padayon ang inyong pagsalik sa Lasal University. Let us continue to have faith in one another so we can overcome every fear that comes our way. Leave Jesus in our hearts forever. Animo Lasal.
Thank you and congratulations to the parents, benefactors, and the graduating students, Batch Alohomora of the academic year 2020-2021. Congratulations to the Students Affairs Center led by their ever-dynamic director, Dr. Chidel Joan San Diego, and to the entire Lasallian Mission Unit. This has been your virtual host, Janelle Cruz, sending out my hats off to you soon-to-be graduates. Never forget that, and I quote, "We do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves, and that is having the power to imagine better." St. John Baptist de La Salle, pray for us. Leave Jesus in our hearts forever.
LSU. Reshaping Futures.
Hail, hail, alma mater, hail to De La Salle. We'll hold your banner high and bright, a shield of green and white. We'll fight to keep your glory bright, and never shall we fail. Hail to thee, our alma mater, hail, hail, hail. Hail, hail, alma mater, hail to De La Salle. We'll hold your banner high and bright, a shield of green and white. We'll fight to keep your glory bright, and never shall we fail. Hail to thee, our alma mater, hail, hail, hail. Hail to thee, our alma mater, hail, hail, hail.
One of the most reputable private higher education institutions in northern Mindanao, LaSalle University is committed to its academic excellence as a PAASQ Level 2 accredited institution. Tracing back the rich and colorful history of LaSalle University, the De La Salle brothers in 1990 agreed to assist in the academic supervision of then Immaculate Conception College. 4 years later, it was formally turned over to the De La Salle brothers and named it Immaculate Conception College LaSalle. In 2006, ICC LaSalle was granted the university status by the Commission on Higher Education and changed its name to LaSalle University. In the same year, the university was granted to admit foreign students by the Bureau of Immigration. Since then, LaSalle University has opened its doors to the world with college programs that are globally competent. The College of Teacher Education. The College of Arts and Sciences. The College of Business and Accountancy. The College of Computer Studies. The College of Engineering and Architecture. The College of Nursing. The School of Tourism and Hospitality Management. The School of Graduate Studies. LaSalle University is fully equipped with top-of-the-line facilities and amenities to match the demands of the advancing technology. Our Lady of the Star Chapel is a venue for students to strengthen their faith in God. The multifunctional audiovisual room, advanced library system, the 3,000 capacity art center, well-suited indoor and outdoor sports facilities, reliable bus system, well-furnished university clinic, safe and cozy dormitory with free Wi-Fi and no power interruption. Today, LaSalle University is and will continue to lead in reshaping the futures of the young and the continuing professionals. LaSalle University, reshaping futures.
LSU, reshaping futures.